Secret recaps here today. I'm going to show 2019 supernatural horror film called In the Tall Grass. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Siblings Becky and Kala driving their car across the open country to San Diego feeling nauseous. Pregnant Becky asked how the pull over near an abandoned church call stops the car, and Becky barely makes it out to throw up. Just as they were about to hit the road, Becky hears a cry for help coming from the tall grass. Another voice calls out to them, this time a woman, and apparently the boy's mother. She calls the boy by his name Tobin and tells him to stop calling out, challenges the tall grass to rescue Tobin, and Becky follows after. Becky starts to feel something weird about the whole situation. Frustrated, Cole tries running through the field, trying to locate his sister. He stumbles into the mud, tired and gasping for air. As he looks up, he sees the remains of a rotten dog. Thank you soon meets another man at Tall Grass, who introduces himself as Ross. He is also looking for his wife Natalie, his son Tobin, and their dog Freddie. Meanwhile, Cole finally runs into the boy's name Tobin. Tobin tells Cole how his family ended up in the field in the first place. They followed a man's voice into the tall grass, and I have been stuck ever since. Elle asked her about how long they have been wandering through the field. The boy doesn't know. He tells Cole about the rock. The rock lets you hear the tall grass, and the tall grass knows everything. Tell has no choice but to ask the boy for help. Tobin is eager to help his new friend and tells Cole to stay close to him as they go look for Becky. Thank you follows Ross into the tall grass and leaves him feeling the panic rise up to her chest. Thank you frantically searches for the man. A shadow then jumps up from behind her, clasping his hand on her mouth and stifling her screams. Tell follows Tobin to a clearing where gigantic rock sits in the center. Tell walks towards it and sees the symbols carved into it. A loud cry coming from the field interrupts his trance. Traffic stops his truck at the same church where Cole parked their car. He spots a paperback novel belonging to Becky at the side of the road. Ignoring the uneasy feeling in his chest, Travis ventures out into the field. He soon stumbles into Tobin. Tobin calls Travis by his name, leaving travelers confused. Tobin says that they have met before, but Travis could only look up to the boy in shock. Alternately, the boy leads Travis to back his writing course. Tobin watches from a distance as the man shudders and cries beside the corpse. Back at the church, Tobin stands towards the tall grass, completely terrified, as he holds onto his dog and calls out to his mother, saying that a man is calling out from the field. His parents follow him to the field and immediately get lost. As morning breaks, the siblings arrive at the side of the field and enter the tall grass. To Tobin's cries, feeling hopeless and lost, Travis hears Becky's voice from a distance and he calls out for them. Travis finally catches up to Tobin, Becky, and Cole. Travis tells them that they have been missing for 2 months. Suddenly, a phone call interrupts their talk. A distorted woman's voice erupts from the phone, giving them a solemn warning before cutting off. They continue their trek until Becky screams in pain as blood drips from her thighs. A horrifying vision of death and sacrifice play through her mind, so horrifying that it makes her pass out. Ross meets them and leads them back to the clearing with the rock. The atmosphere turns ominous as Ross marvels at the entity in front of them. He tells them that the way out is to touch the rock. Suddenly, a woman appears from the tall grass. It's Natalie, Tobin's mom. She shields her son and she wants her husband to stay away from them. As she looks over at Becky, she gasps. She insists that she saw Becky and that she was dead. Ross insisted. Natalie's only confused. Thank you grabs her stomach from the pain. Another vision passes through her mind. She sees the grass people and Ross with milky white eyes and a sinister smile on his face. As Ross turns its back on them, Travis tackles him to the ground and starts punching him. Ross soon gains the upper hand and breaks Travis a shoulder. Natalie pushes her son to run and gets caught in the arms of her crazy husband. Ross finally tips over the edge and crushes his wife's head with his own bare hands. The group runs back into the field and Freddie leads them towards a building. Travis apologizes to Becky, but lashes at her brother. Fed up with everything, Cole lands a punch on his face. Their fight is cut short by Ross, who is now banging at the door. The group climbs up to the top of the building and barricades the door. Tell and Travis spot the dog Freddie. As it walks through the empty parking lot, the dog suddenly disappears and then reappears at the main road near the church. Travis concludes that it must be the way out. Ross manages to open the doors. They climb down through the fire escape. Ross catches up to Colin, grabs him by the shoulder. He brings out Cole's worst fear, that he be left out once the baby is born. In Travis and Becky will end up together. Tell runs away from his grasp and back into the field, but as soon tackled by Ross. As Cole turns to his side, he sees his own mangled corpses staring back at him with their soul the size. A final chill runs through his spine as Ross trucks into death. Travis wakes up and goes back to the field to look for Becky, beaten and bruised. He thanks Becky for trying to keep her baby and that their baby deserves to live. Suddenly Ross grabs Becky from behind. Thank you is terrified and exhausted, but with the remaining energy she has left, she reaches for the pair of scissors on the ground and stabs Ross' left eye. She pushes herself back up and runs until she finds herself surrounded by the grass people. She saw her vision. They close in on her, define her attempts of escape, and carry her against her will. Thank you wakes up and pulls out her cell phone and attempts to call herself, revealing herself to be the woman who gave them the ominous warning earlier. As she dropped her phone in pain, she sees the carvings on the rock bearing the prophecy of her own pregnancy. The ground breaks before her, revealing the roots underneath the rocks. Thousands of babies dead and alive recalled in the roots beneath her, all crying for help. Thank you screams at the horrifying sight of what seems like the fate of her daughter. With one last push and scream, she passes out. The full moon shines above her back. He wakes up in a dazed state, Callus feeding her something. Benny asks what she's eating, and his brother responds that it's only grass. As the blood drops on the ground, Becky soon realizes that something isn't right. She turns her head and spots her dead daughter. He's been feeding her the baby all this time. After 5, she turns back to Cole, who is now Ross. Travis finds backing near the rock. He taunts Ross to come out. A grading Ross appears from behind, landing a punch on his face. He pins him on the ground, but Travis gains the upper hand and kicks him off. Ross retrieves a broken bone from the mud and slams it onto Travis's face before finally stabbing him in the stomach. Suddenly Becky rises up with our last ounce of energy and strikes Ross is right on. This buys them a bit of time as Travis hits back at him by smashing his face against the rock. A struggle ensues and Tobin watches in horror as Travis finally strangled his father to death. Clutching his dead girlfriend, Travis ops. He glances back behind him and knows that there is only one way out of here. He finally places his palm on the surface and is grouped into a vision. His eyes roll back as he sees the hundreds of paths that could take them outside. Travis leads Tobin to an escape path. He turns to him and gives the boy back his necklace. He grabs the boy and pulls him up towards the grass. Once he's down, Tobin finds himself inside a room. He walks towards the solitary door and realizes that he is inside the church. He makes his way just in time to see Beck's car pulling up the side of the road. Tobin runs towards them with all his might and screams at them. He tells them to get inside the car and did not go in the tall grass. Seeing that they are not convinced, he pulls out the necklace that Travis gave them. Thank you asked where he got the necklace, and Tobin says he got it from Travis. Becky tells his brother to stop and that there is something really weird going on. They all piled back into the car and Tobin watches the window as he anxiously waits for the car to start. Thank you tells Cole to turn back and take Tobin to Topeka. Travis, still trapped within the field, smiles and collapses on the ground. He knows that Becky and his baby are safe and sound. With this, he takes one final look at the sky and closes his eyes. You need to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications, and thank you for watching. Subscribe to watch more story recaps.